Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is one of the most highly requested videos I've ever had on my channel, and it is how to combine sunscreen with makeup and how to reapply sunscreen over makeup. So obviously I'm not wearing any makeup right now aside from some brow gel and a tinted lip balm. I'm actually gonna demonstrate in today's video in real time how to combine your sunscreen with makeup and also how to reapply your sunscreen over top of makeup. So I'll be honest with you, this video has taken a while to prepare because I wanted to be really thorough about what the best method is. Obviously, if you have a very different style of makeup to me, then it might not work for you, but for me, for the kind of makeup that I wear, this is what works best. And lastly, I wanted to quickly mention that the day that this video is going up is actually my birthday. So yes, I'm a Leo, and so I want you guys to comment your astrological sign in the comments down below. Very curious to know kind of like how my audience is represented in terms of astrology. So with all that being said, let's just get into the video. So what I think is really important in this entire process of, combining your sunscreen with makeup is starting with a high SPF base. So you can pick your poison however you choose, whatever sunscreen you really like and works best for you. As long as it's above SPF 30, that's gonna be good for you. My favorite sunscreen for this purpose is the Misha Essence Sun Milk. It's SPF 50 and PA 3+. So the reason why I like this sunscreen so much is not only is it a really high SPF, it's SPF 50, it also is quite a matte sunscreen. And so I find that I definitely prefer like a more glowy, dewy, if you will, finish with my foundation. So having kind of like a matte sunscreen base for the foundation to lay on top of, I think prevents me from getting really oily throughout the day. I find that if I do a glowy sunscreen and then a glowy foundation, the results are just not good. So even if you use this alone with a no makeup day, this works really well for just keeping your skin to a really beautiful satin matte finish. I really do like that. So because this sunscreen is quite alcohol based, it is a little bit drying, and so I do like to layer a hydrating serum and a hydrating moisturizer underneath. So the two products that I would recommend for that purpose is honestly, any hydrating serum that has something like glycerin, hyaluronic acid, urea kind of feel to it. My favorite one is the Visviva Urea 5% and Niacinamide 5% Rosewater Serum. That one is beautiful for kind of like layering underneath a moisturizer. The moisturizer that I'll recommend is the Pharmacy Daily Greens Moisturizer. That one is so nice. So yeah, serum, moisturizer, and then I go in with my sunscreen over top, and I have a whole dedicated video about how I apply my sunscreen. I personally use the 2-finger rule, so I'll apply strips to my finger, and like healthy strips, like not just like whoop whoop, but like I'll take my time and really lay out like a good amount of sunscreen onto 2 fingers. And then what I'll do is I'll apply it to my face, and then I'll just kind of massage it in, let it dry, all that jazz. So I will link my sunscreen video down below in the info box if you want a more in-depth kind of instructions on how to apply sunscreen. So after the sunscreen base is on, and by the way, I do have this sunscreen on my face right now. So like I said, it's not a chalkboard matte necessarily. It's got a little bit of a satin finish to it, which I think is really pretty. So after that, I go in with my foundation. And if you're gonna wear foundation, I do recommend, if you wanna get the most kind of sun protection in your skincare routine to wear throughout the day, going with a sunscreen that has SPF in it, probably gonna be your best bet. My favorite foundation that has SPF, and actually my favorite foundation period, is the NARS Tinted Moisturizer. Now this is technically a tinted moisturizer, but I find that it has kind of like sheer to medium coverage. I am not a full coverage kind of person at all. I don't like that on my skin, but I do think that this is kind of more than just a tinted moisturizer. It really does have a lot of pigment in it. So I have mine in the shade St. Moritz, and I think it's actually a pretty good match for my skin right now because I'm not particularly tan right now. This is SPF 30. So something important to note here is mixing these two, not a good idea. So something really important with sunscreen formulation is their film forming agent ingredients. So when you have a really great sunscreen formulation, part of what makes it so effective at preventing UV damage is the film forming agents that kind of form on your skin. So when you mix SPF products together, the results are not good because this interaction together can kind of mess with the film forming agents that are in sunscreen. So when you're doing a foundation on top of sunscreen, it's really important not to mix them together. First of all, like don't sit there and be a chemist at your vanity trying to mix a sunscreen with a moisturizer. That's not how it works. I don't recommend that. Instead, what I recommend is using a damp beauty sponge and then your foundation and kind of like dabbing on top of your sunscreen. That's what we're gonna do right now. I'm gonna take a pretty small amount of this foundation because like I said, I don't like a super full coverage look. So I'll show you the amount that I applied. It's kind of running down my hand a little bit, but it's a little bit more than a pea-sized amount, and this will be good for my entire face. In fact, I think this might be too much. I really do want to drive this point home, is that the amount of foundation that you would apply and have it look good is significantly less than the amount of sunscreen that you need to apply for it to be effective. So I'm just taking this and kind of dabbing it on my face. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't have a mirror. Let me grab my mirror. Better, I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so that's my foundation on, and I didn't even use all of it. I still have a significant amount left on my hand. So like I said, the amount of foundation that you would apply and have it look good is way, way, way less than the amount of sunscreen that you would need to apply. So that being said, do not rely on your foundation with SPF alone to protect your skin. So a little bit about the ingredients of this foundation. It contains both mineral ingredients like titanium dioxide, and it also contains organic ingredients like octocyanate. So this is not just like a strictly mineral or strictly chemical sunscreen. This is both. So even if you did apply like full coverage foundation all over your face, all over your neck, your ears, everywhere, it still, I guarantee, would not be enough to give you the adequate SPF protection that's on the bottle. You have to be applying 2 milligrams per centimeter squared in order to get the advertised SPF value. That is how the FDA tests sunscreens in the US. That's how it's measured. If you are applying less than that, you're not gonna get the advertised SPF value. Okay, so now I'm gonna do my makeup off camera using the Impressionism palette by Musée Beauty. This is my brand. You can use Kaya10 at checkout for 10% off, but I'll be right back. I'm gonna finish my eye makeup and the rest of my face, and I'll be back. So I just finished filming a makeup tutorial for Musée Beauty, so if you want to see how I achieved this look, then you should follow us at Musée Beauty on Instagram. So for this look, I have eyeshadow on, I have a cream blush, cream highlight, and then a lip gloss on. So now we're gonna move on to the actual reapplication of sunscreen over makeup. So I recommend with starting off by blotting your face with a, blotting paper or something like that, just to get any excess oil, sweat, anything like that off your face, because when you then go in with sunscreen later, it does tend to make things a little bit messy. So you want to have, as clean of a surface as possible. So the star product that I think is really, really important for reapplication of sunscreen over makeup is one of these kind of silicone puff type things. Now they have like a cute little slip like that. You just use it and blot your whatever on. I use these for sunscreen specifically. Now these are great because they're kind of silicone-y. I'm not actually sure what material this is, but I bought them on Amazon. I will link them down below. They're really inexpensive, and it comes in a case of like 6 of them. So they're reusable, they're washable, you get a bunch of them. There's really no excuse for not, reapplying sunscreen over your makeup, because it's really cheap to do and it's easy. So this is really important because you should absolutely not be using a normal beauty sponge for applying your sunscreen over makeup, because this beauty sponge, when it's damp, it does absorb a lot of excess product. And in this case, we want as much sunscreen as possible to go back into our face. So if you were to apply your sunscreen on top of your makeup using a beauty sponge, the effect would be really nice and really wearable and really beautiful, but unfortunately you would not be getting enough sunscreen on your skin. So the first thing that I do is I take my sunscreen, give it a shake, and I do put it on kind of like the back of my hand. So this is how much I'm probably gonna reapply. If I think I need more, I will go in with more, but this is how I'm gonna start off with. So I'm gonna start, and this is gonna be tricky because I do have a cream blush situation going on, but I'm gonna start by just dabbing this on my face. And the goal is not to get like an even coverage or anything. You're just dabbing it on your face to try and disperse the product on, so that you can later blend it in. Okay, so that was everything from the back of my hand. I'm gonna use the little puff to press and roll the sunscreen into my skin. Now, because I do have, this blush going on and the highlight going on, I obviously don't wanna have blush on like the middle of my forehead. So what I'm gonna do is start by kind of pressing it into my skin in areas that don't have blush. So for me, that's areas like under the cheekbone, the chin, the nose. And with the nose, you do want to be careful and try and really get it in to the little crevices. Forehead is pretty important because you do get a lot of sun there. So now we're gonna get to the area where my blush is, and honestly, I think I do need a little bit more sunscreen because this isn't enough sunscreen at all. But I'm gonna start anyway by just pressing gently into my skin. And you can see on the puff, it did absorb a little bit of my foundation and some of my sunscreen, but not a whole lot. So I'm actually gonna go in with a little bit more sunscreen on my cheeks because I felt like it wasn't enough. So for this, I'm just gonna directly take it onto my puff and apply to my face. And this method is really great because it's actually not moving my blush at all. And so my skin does look a little bit shiny because I did just apply like a ton of sunscreen. But this, as it dries, as you'll see throughout the video as I finish talking, this will dry down to a really beautiful satin matte finish. Now, I wanna go over some methods that did not work for me. And by the way, I do have sunscreen on my neck, but because I'm wearing like a dress and a necklace and stuff, I'm not gonna be reapplying my sunscreen to my neck because I don't wanna waste product. Like, I'm not gonna be going outside or anything. So just keep in mind, if you have, you know, your chest décolletage area exposed like this, your neck exposed, you do need to be applying sunscreen to these areas. So you may be wondering, what about SPF sprays? What about SPF powders? I'm here to say these, from my experience, do not work. So SPF sprays, like makeup setting sprays that have SPF in them, they're a good idea in theory, but in reality, they apply really, really unevenly, which is never good because you do want to have an even layer of sun protection on your skin in order to, you know, protect your skin. So with a makeup setting spray, you generally just kind of mist your face and hope it lands in the right places. And maybe it's just me, but from my experience, the majority of the mist doesn't even end up on my face. So not only is it a huge waste of product, but also you're really not getting enough on your skin. So if you wanted to apply, you know, enough of a makeup setting mist that has SPF in it to your skin, you would have to really, really, really drench your face in that setting mist, and the result is not gonna be that pretty. So in most cases, with most, you know, makeup setting spray formulations that I personally tried, you'll end up looking really greasy, really oily, and just wet. So in the case of that, you would need to go in with like a powder puff and kind of press the product into your skin. But at that point, like, you already have the puff that you have to use. Why wouldn't you just use, you know, a nice mattifying sunscreen on top instead of, you know, doing the whole makeup setting mist thing and then going with the puff? Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. But if that's your thing, you can do that. Now, SPF powders are on the other end of the spectrum in the sense that while a makeup setting mist that has SPF in it will leave you looking drenched and super wet and oily and greasy, if you apply enough of a makeup powder that has SPF in it, you will look super, super cakey and powdery. So in general, in makeup, you know, you don't want to look cakey. You don't want to look like you have layers and layers and layers of makeup on. Unless that's your thing. I don't know, it's not my thing. It's nice to mattify the skin, but if you want to rely on a makeup powder that has SPF in it in order to get, you know, your reapplication of sunscreen in, it's not gonna be enough. And if it is enough, you're probably not gonna look very good. So if you wanted to like go the extra mile and you're like, I really need a setting powder, like I really need this in my makeup routine, but I wanna protect my skin still, you can use a powder with SPF in it. Just understand that you cannot be relying on that powder alone. So to kind of cut that step out of having to use a mattifying powder with SPF in it, I just used a matte sunscreen and it works perfectly. So you can see it's kind of like dried down now, and from how I see it in my mirror, my skin looks healthy. It doesn't look crazy oily or greasy or anything. It just looks healthy. Now, I did notice that my cream blush did kind of go away because I did kind of aggressively, you know, use the powder puff in order to reapply my sunscreen, but that's no biggie. I can just reapply a small amount of my cream blush to my face. So that's basically it. I hope this video was straightforward because I feel like there's so much misinformation about, you know, how you should be reapplying sunscreen over your makeup, how you should be applying, you know, sunscreen with your makeup, if you should mix them, if you should apply in different layers. Like, there's just like a lot of information going around. And so this is my take. So I really hope you guys found this video helpful and informative. If you did, it would really mean a lot to me me if you gave this video a thumbs up and if you commented down below that you enjoyed it. So with all the products that I talked about in today's video, the powder puffs, the sunscreen, the foundation that I used, even all the makeup items that I used on my face, I will definitely be linking them down below. If you want to see more videos like this in terms of, you know, more of the chemistry behind skincare products, very much science-based because I do have a degree in chemical engineering, I would love it if you stuck around and hit the subscribe button for more videos just like this. So with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching and spending this time with me. Have a beautiful week and I will see you in my next video. Bye!